All right, welcome back to Sunrise. Now, did you know that June is actually National Infertility Awareness Month? Infertility awareness is crucial, especially in light of the recently published Jamaica Population Health Status Report, which highlights a substantial decline in the country's birth rate. Well, in today's morning checkup, we'll be exploring the implications of this decline and what it means for the landscape of reproductive health care and even fertility services here in Jamaica. So fertility specialist and OBGYN from the Hugh Winter Institute of Reproductive Health Care and endoscopic surgery, Dr. Loxley Christi, joins us for the conversation.
Doc,
Morning,
how
Doc.
are you?
Oh, I'm great, thanks.
How are you doing?
Awesome.
I'm great.
So I know I was jokingly saying to you earlier, if you have any retrievals today or if you have any, you know.
Absolutely. When I leave here, I'm running off.
For those who don't know, before we get into the infertility aspect of what happens at the clinic, why would infertility even be a topic of discussion, and what does that entail? What does it cover?
Well, it's a significant topic in the sense that many people are battling with infertility worldwide. This is not just a Jamaican phenomenon. Infertility affects up to 15% of people. So if you think about it, 1 in every 7 couples that you know will be struggling with infertility.
Yeah.
Many of them either don't know it, or we do what we do when we have sensitive disorders. We go into hiding. It takes a long time for them to present, and therefore it becomes more difficult for us as clinicians to help them. So one of the things about Infertility Awareness Month is that we want to bring awareness to the disorder so that patients can present earlier, so that we can help them as quickly as possible in as natural a way as possible.
Yes, of course.
One of my challenges in the way we talk about infertility, I mean, even coming from, if we read the Bible, we read about a woman who was barren. And it often is the woman's issue, and not knowing that the woman is perfectly fine, but the woman is in a monogamous relationship with a man who cannot produce. From the men's side, tell me about infertility.
So that's one of the horrendous misconceptions that we have. Up to 50% of the time. I'm going to repeat it because it's a number that people have a difficulty conceptualizing.
Yes.
That means 1 in every 2 cases, there will be a male factor. There may be the male factor only, or there may be both a female and a male factor. So quite often the woman will present, we'll start our investigations on them. You know, how's your partner? No, man, he's fine. He has 2, 3 children already. But those 2, 3 children were 10 years ago, and things may have happened since that. So you'll often find that men are reluctant to get tested. So as a result of that, that's another further delay in us being able to help these couples.
Is it that 2 people who are fine, but at this point in their life, they are just not compatible and therefore infertile? Is that possible?
Theoretically, it's possible, but quite often there's just a medical problem which we need to overcome.
On the back of that, let's speak about some of the causes for infertility. Let's get into some of them.
Right, so I like to think of 4 real causes. There's male factor, and there's a host of things, hormonal issues, just sperm production. We're exposed to a lot of environmental toxins, tobacco, marijuana, lead, other environmental toxins.
All these things can reduce sperm count.
Absolutely, absolutely can. Infections, all of these things can. So there are a host of male factors. For female factors, there are 3 main causes. There's ovulatory. So each month, the purpose of us having a period is to select 1 egg of several 100,000 that are in the ovary. That 1 egg is selected, it matures, it's released. Now, up to 30% of women will have hormonal conditions which may prevent this. Not the worst thing in the world, it's often just finding the cause, treating the hormonal abnormality. But another factor that's happening is that you're born with all the eggs that you'll ever have. It's just the way nature works. It's the way that the system was designed. The better eggs are released earlier. So by the time you get to your late 30s, your 40s, 50, average age of menopause is about 51. By that time, you have very few eggs. The eggs are of lesser quality. And as a result, it takes you longer to get pregnant. You may not be able to get pregnant. And if you do get pregnant, there's an increased risk of abnormalities. So one of the things that we like to do now is testing ovarian reserve to see where you're at so that we can assess how urgently we need to assist. So those are ovulatory disorders. Another significant factor is things like tubal factor.
Right.
So tubes can get blocked. And just the way women's tubes can get blocked, men's tubes can get blocked, going back to your original question.
Right.
So it is important that we check our men when we are checking our women for infertility. So the tubes can get blocked. Things like infections, which is preventable, which is part of the things that we do. So people think that fertility treatment is only surgery, it's only IVF. No, it's just a matter of talking to our folks, just educating them. You need to protect your tubes. You need to prevent sexually transmitted infections.
Right.
That's just talking. That's just, public education.
In introducing the segment, we spoke a bit about our declining birth rate here in Jamaica, and I vividly remember being a youngster. My mother worked at the university on the labor ward as a midwife, and I remember the campaign that went out, 2 is better than too many.
Absolutely.
I remember the campaign. Is what we are seeing now perhaps a positive impact from that campaign being really effective, or is it just, maybe economic factors? What do you think is contributing to the decline in birth rate?
All right, so that's a great question. It's a complex issue. There are multiple factors. So yes, the National Family Planning Board did have the 2 is better than too many campaign. Great campaign, great work was done. There was a time when our children were dropping out of school. They had their early first pregnancy, 13, 14 years old. The natural history is that those children, women, will go on to have 3, 4, 5 children by 3, 4, 5 different fathers. And it becomes difficult for them to recover.
Right.
So measures put in by the National Family Planning Board stemmed this. So for example, going back to that report, in 2002, no, in 2000 when they started this report, the adolescent pregnancy rate was somewhere in the region of 79.4, 79.5 per 1,000.
Wow.
By 2022, that more than half to 34. So that means, and that is good work. So some of the reduction that you're hearing about and people getting worried about it and having knee-jerk responses, it's a positive report. These are young women who are allowed to finish their school, go on to get higher education. We've never had a time when women are in positions of power, and rightfully so, based on acquiring education and, moving up the ladder. And that's a very big positive.
Yes.
Definitely a positive note on which to end. Our guest has been Dr. Loxley Christi, fertility specialist and OBGYN from the Hugh Winter Institute of Reproductive Health Care and Endoscopic Surgery. It's time for a break. The 4-H Club's 2024 Female Youth Ambassador will join us in a moment.